Dear students, welcome to Tungala online classes. In the last video, we were discussing the characteristic features of all the three different types of algae, Chlorophyceae, Phaeophyceae as well as Rhodophyceae. And in this video, we'll go through the next topic, that is economic importance of algae. As you know, so these algae are economically so important. They are biologically also important, right? So what are the importance of these algae? Let us see one by one. First one, as you know, algae are autotrophic in nature and they are aquatic in nature. They are fixing more than 50% of the carbon dioxide which is produced inside the water, right? So by a process or in a process called as photosynthesis. When the carbon dioxide is fixed, so in photosynthesis, that moment the release of oxygen that takes place, and this oxygen is once again utilized by the animals, aquatic animals, right? So this is how they help in maximum fixation of carbon dioxide. See here, algae are here. These algae which fix CO2, right? CO2 is fixed, right? And algae perform photosynthesis. As a result of photosynthesis, they produce O2, oxygen, right? And this oxygen is utilized by aquatic animals. Aquatic animals utilize that oxygen and once again they release carbon dioxide, right? So this is how carbon dioxide, which is fixed by these algae in a photosynthesis, helps in releasing of oxygen, and this oxygen is once again utilized by the aquatic animals, and once again during the respiration they release once again the carbon dioxide, and carbon dioxide once again fixed by the algae, right? So maximum amount of this carbon dioxide is fixed by these algae. This is very important aspect to be remembered. This is one importance of these algae. And next one is these algae are acting as the primary producers. See here, these are acting as primary producers. As you know, what are producers? Producers are nothing but these are the organisms which produce the food, right? So that contains the energy and that is utilized by the organisms which consume that food, right? So energy rich food is produced by these algae. Hence they are acting as primary producers. Algae act as primary producers which helps in production of energy rich food, and this food is utilized by aquatic animals. This is utilized by aquatic animals, means so they are becoming the primary producers, and later the consumers will consume that food and they gain the energy, and once again they are utilized by other higher animals as their food. So like this, the food chain. In the food chain, these algae become primary producers, right? So this is one more importance of these algae. And this is the second one. Third one. So these are used as a food and food supplement, right? So these are utilized as food as well as food supplement, right? So majority of the coastline people are consuming these algae as one of the nutritional food in some of the countries like Japan, right? In Japan, the coastline people consume these algae, right? So in some countries like Japan, many algae are used as the food material. They are used as food material, especially coastal people use algae as food. Some of the examples I shall quote over here. What are those examples? Porphyra. Porphyra is one of the algae which is used as food. Ulva is there, right? Sargassum, Laminaria, Chlorella, right? Such kind of many number of algae are utilized as food by the coastline people living in some of the countries like Japan, right? So this is how, so these algae are used as the food. Along with this one, some of the algae like Chlorella, even one more example we can take a Spirulina. So these are protein rich one. These are protein rich in nature, hence these are used as a food supplement by space travelers, right? Note down the point. So what is that? Chlorella as well as Spirulina. Chlorella as well as Spirulina. So these two are protein rich, hence these are used as food supplement by the space travelers, space travelers use these one as the food supplement. Okay, so this is also one more economic importance of these algae. These algae are also used as fodder to domestic animals, right? Fodder, right? So these algae, some of the algae like Laminaria, Ulva, Alaria, right? Such kind of algae are used as fodder for some of the domestic animals, right? Some algae are used as fodder for some domestic animals. The example for them is Microcystis, right? Microcystis, it is giant algae, what we call it as, right? Largest algae, right? Which is growing about 100 meters in height. So in the last video we have discussed. In the same way, Sargassum and Fucus. So many of the brown algae especially, they are used as a fodder for these domestic animals, right? So this is also one more importance of algae, right? And space research. In space research, in what way it is used? Of course, so space flight trips are there. You might have heard of this one and you know it better. right? Whenever the people that go for space flight trips, that moment, so chlorella is one of the algae used over here. So chlorella is used over here, and this chlorella which is used during space flight trip, right? Space flight trip. So this chlorella can reuse the carbon dioxide, and it releases what? Oxygen, and the same oxygen is utilized by the astronauts. Utilized by the astronauts. Astronauts use that oxygen, right, which is released by chlorella itself during space trip itself, right? So this is also one more importance of these algae. And algae which are energy rich one, such kind of algae, chlorella, spirulina, they are used as a food supplement during space research itself, during space trip itself, right? That is also one more utilization of these algae. They not only produce the oxygen necessary for astronauts, they provide food supplement for astronauts, right? So these are some more importance of these algae. And next one is hydrocolloids. Hydrocolloids. What are these hydrocolloids? These are water holding substances. What these are? Water holding substances. They have good capacity of water holding itself, right? Such kind of substances these hydrocolloids are. Already we have studied these hydrocolloids, where actually they are. They are majority of the time the cell wall derivatives of marine algae, right? Especially brown algae as well as red algae itself, right? So these are hydrocolloids which are extracted from some marine algae like brown algae and red algae. Totally these are the derivatives of brown and red algae, right? They have their own economic importance, right? So one of them is algin. Algin is one of themselves. So it is cell wall derivative of brown algae like Alaria, Fucus. So in these type of brown algae, it is present in the cell wall, it is extracted over here and it is used as, right? Used as one of the product which can prevent the formation of crystals in ice creams, right? Very important one. It has its own uses. Some of the uses are here. The first one, it is used to prevent formation of crystals in ice creams. Formation of crystals in ice creams, and it is also used for stopping the blood flow, right? So that is, it is used for stopping bleeding of blood. Means, however it is used as a clotting factor, we can say, or it helps in stopping the blood. Alright, so this is the second use, and it is used in the preparation of some of the important products like soaps, right? Creams are also made from this one. Along with these creams, some of the cosmetics are produced by this one, and toothpaste, right? Such kind of many number of things are produced by using this algin itself, right? So these are some of the economic importance of algin, right? And next one is carrageenan, right? Next one is carrageenan. So carrageenan is also one of the cell wall derivative of red algae, right? From one of the red algae it is extracted from the cell wall, right? So example for this one, Chondrus crispus is one such algae, that is red algae, from which it is extracted. And so some more uses are here. So these are mainly used as emulsifying agent as well as stabilizing agent, right? These are used as emulsifying agents and stabilizing agents, right? So they are used in emulsifying, used as emulsifying agents as well as stabilizing agent, and these are used in some of the industries, right? Some of the industries, right? They are used in some of the industries like leather industry, brewing industry, right? Leather industry, brewing industry, as well as textile industry. So in such kind of industries it is used as emulsifying agent, right? So this is the use of carrageenan, which is extracted from red algae, right? Next one is agar. Agar is one of the colloidal substance or jelly-like substance which is extracted from Rhodophyceae, that is red algae. It is extracted from Rhodophyceae or red algae. It is extracted from red algae. It is one of the colloidal substance or jelly-like substance extracted from some of the red algae, like example Gelidium, Gracilaria. So are the best examples for red algae from which usually agar is extracted, right? And this jelly-like substance, right? What it is? Jelly-like substance So this jelly-like substance is used for preparation of medium for the growth of microbes like bacteria, fungi, etc. itself, right? It is used as medium for growing microbes like bacteria, right, fungi, etc. Spirulina, right? So such kind of microbes are grown on this medium itself, and this medium is used in tissue culture. This agar is used as medium in tissue culture, right? In tissue culture laboratories, you will come across the medium for the growth of the plants, right? So usually we grow by using some parts of the plant. So many number of plants in test tube itself, right? So in the test tube, so this is one test tube in which we take agar, which is rich in sugar, right? So it is a polysaccharide, right? So this agar, which is extracted from Gelidium gracilaria, so from those red algae it is extracted and it is used as a medium. And I put here a piece of stem over here, right? A piece of stem over here into that agar medium, and these stem cells, right? So they are responsible, means this from this piece of stem, many number of plants that grow inside the test tube itself, right? So this is the technique called as a tissue culture technique. So one tissue or a cell is utilized for growing many number of similar plants, right? So similar plants by using one medium, that is agar medium, under controlled conditions of temperature, pressure. So right, so and we use some of the phytohormones there for growing many number of plants over here. This is nothing but tissue culture technique. In this tissue culture technique, we use agar as the medium. Agar itself is one of the phycocolloid. So this colloidal substance or jellying substance, so which is having its own economic importance, so which is extracted from red algae, right? So this is about the agar. So these are the colloidal substances. Hydrocolloids are there. So all these are extracted from algae and they are used in different ways and they have their own economic importance. Of course, agar not only used as medium, it is used as emulsifying agent, right, in some of the industries itself, right? So such kind of many number of economic importance are there for these algae. And one more is iodine. Laminaria, fucus are the algae which are rich in iodine. Iodine is too essential for us, right? So iodine is also produced from these algae like laminaria, right, as well as fucus. So in these algae, iodine is rich. So that's why. So these are some of the economic importance of algae, and focus on NCERT book and those points which are given in NCERT book. So underline them, and apart from those points, some more points I have added over here, right? So these are economic importance of algae. Next group of plants is bryophytes. What these bryophytes are? So these are regarded as the amphibians of plant kingdom. These are called as amphibians of plant kingdom. So this is the second group of plants what we are studying now, right? So these are generally called as amphibians of plant kingdom. Why these are called as amphibians of plant kingdom? What are amphibians, you know? Amphibians are those organisms which can live both in water and on land, right? Such kind of organisms which adapt themselves to both the mediums, water medium as well as land medium. So they are said to be as amphibians. Why these plants are called as amphibian plants? Why? Because these plants are in need of at least a thin film of water. A thin film of water is needed for these plants for sexual reproduction. For sexual reproduction. What is sexual reproduction, you know, right? So it takes place by the fusion of male and female gametes, which are respectively produced from male and female sex organs in respective plants itself, right? So male plant produces male gamete, female plant produces female gamete, and how these gametes come to meet each other, right? Male are motile in nature, and these motile male gametes swim very actively in the water, right? There is a thin film of water is needed for swimming of these male gametes, right, towards the female gamete. To reach the female gamete, there is a need of water medium, right? Means, even though these are terrestrial plants, first terrestrial plants, they are in need of what? A little bit amount of water for their sexual reproduction. And such kinds of plants which depend both water as well as land, which can survive in both the medium. So there is a need of water. For that reason they are said to be as amphibians of plant kingdom, right? And these are the intermediate organisms which lie between aquatic algae as well as the terrestrial pteridophytes, right? So these are intermediate between aquatic algae and terrestrial pteridophytes, right? And such kind of plants these are, right? These are intermediate organisms which are living, which are lying between aquatic algae and terrestrial pteridophytes. Pteridophytes are terrestrial in nature. They grow on land purely. They are in need of water for their absorption, right? But they do not depend on water for fertilization or sexual reproduction, right? They are purely terrestrial plants. And aquatic algae. In between these two organisms, there lies the amphibians of plant kingdom. They are bryophytes. And there are some special characteristic features these organisms have, right? So what are those characteristic features? See, these are described as non-vascular cryptogams. See here, already during classification I had told you, initially the plants are categorized into two groups. In one group, the plant body is not differentiated into root, stem, leaf. Such kind of plants, halophytes. In the same way, another group plant body is differentiated, right? But non-vascular in nature. But some are non-vascular, some others are vascular one, right? So non-vascular one, they are nothing but amphibians of plant kingdom, they are bryophytes. So these are non-vascular. Non-vascular in the sense that they do not have vascular tissues like xylem as well as phloem. Xylem and phloem are purely absent in these plants, right? Hence these are called as non-vascular. And what do you mean by cryptogams? Cryptogams means, we know phanerogams, flowering plants. These are non-flowering plants. Non-flowering, and they do not bear even the seeds. Such kinds of plants which do not bear flowers and seeds, they are called as cryptogams. These plants do not produce any seeds. They do not produce any flowers. Hence they are called as cryptogams. Hence these are simply described as non-vascular cryptogams. Right? And there are certain peculiar characteristic features that we come across here in these plants. What are those peculiar characters? Peculiar characters. Already you have studied these plants, right? You may understand these peculiar characteristic features. Okay. So first one is independent or dominant gametophyte. In bridge course I had explained what is gametophytic generation, what is sporophytic generation. In previous classes also you have studied these two generations which are seen in bryophytes, right? So here I have written here independent means it does not depend on any other plants for its survival, for its food, shelter, etc. Right? Independent. And this is the dominant plant which is said as gametophyte. Why it is called as gametophyte? Gamete producing phyta. Phyta means plants. Means this is the plant body which produce gametes. Right? So this is gamete producing plant. And next one, parasitic sporophyte. Right? Parasitic sporophyte. Sporophyte depend on gametophyte. Since gametophyte is dominant one on this plant depends for its food and other things, right? So this is parasitic sporophyte. Okay, and one more thing, jacketed sex organs you will see in these plants. Jacketed means uncovered sex organs are over here. Sex organs like antheridium and archegonium. Antheridium, archegonium are the two jacketed sex organs that we come across here in these plants. So this is also very important feature in these plants. Okay, so these are some of the important features of these plants. You will understand all these one whenever we go through the general characteristic features of these plants, right? That is bryophytes. Okay, thank you.